Hello, hello, everybody. It's Chantel Francis here from Realness with 3 S's. You can see I'm by myself, but I just needed to get in this week's event. So much has gone on that I needed to share it with you. And so I'm going to talk about this past week of Big Brother. So I guess it's week 4, week 3? I don't know. Week 3 or 4, and I'll talk to you about that. And then tomorrow I'm going to be joined with the boys, and we are going to have like a group discussion as to what the heck has been going on. Some people have been joking that it is the curse of Mackie from last year that has now touched this house. I don't know what's going on, but the world's crazy, and it's also really crazy in the Big Brother house. So they start the Sunday night episode, like Sunday, that was so long ago, with, part of their recap is seeing Michael kiss Maddie as he leaves the house. I'm like, Michael who? Like, he's so far gone. Like, so much has gone on, so much has happened that he's just like a blip in time. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sure you're a lovely person. You're on my team, but so much more has happened. So we see the evictors kind of coming together, and they're like, oh, we have to do it for Mikey. They really, coming together and realizing that, like, damn, like, they're the only 3 people that voted to keep him. Like, it's basically going to be them against the rest of the house. So head of household competition starts. It's slippery when wet. So basically it's like a slip and slide. It's to go grab some balls, and then you slip and slide back, and you have to put the balls in anybody but your kind of long tube at the end. And so whoever is the first to get 10 tubes is going to be out, and so on and so forth, until there's only one person standing that still has room in their tube to get any balls. And so, and they can only choose the yellow balls. So they have to actually like fight through like a big pile of like different color balls and find the yellow ones, put the yellow ones in their opponent's tubes. And so it's definitely an endurance competition, but it's also a really telling to see where things are going on in the house. I would have thought that this kind of competition would kind of go a little bit later down the road, just because this is the type of competition that shows who you're aligned with, shows who you're against, shows who you're working with. Like it just shows so many things, and it's like it was so early in the season, like 2 people were gone, that I feel like it was a kind of like a wasted opportunity to expose anything. But it's still an interesting competition regardless, because like whoever is out first is indicative of where you stand in the house, and whoever's out last, same thing. So Kyle and Vanessa, they want to go for Maddie, and they were kind of like gunning for Maddie to get her out. I feel actually really badly, because like, the game started before the victors really, really got to play. Yes, they made their alliance. Yes, they were trying to vote to get Michael the votes to stay. But, like, they didn't even realize how much harder people were playing around them. And it's like they didn't even have that shot. And so Vanessa goes for Maddie first. Maddie's, well, obviously is going to be gunning back for Kyle and Vanessa. So they both kind of were working, like they knew that each other were each other's competition or targets. And then, so Kyle also wants to get Madeline and John-Luc. And so these are obviously the evictors. Nobody said Rianne yet, though. I mean, this is also just what they showed from the diary room. But so basically, though, the top people are Vanessa, Maddie, Kyle, and John-Luc were the first 4 people that really seemed to be being targeted. And like that, out first is Maddie. And so the first 4 people are going to be on slop. So Maddie's out first, and she's on slop. That sucks. Second out is Kyle. Third out is Vanessa. And what was really interesting strategy-wise is Min started to put all of her balls in Angie's tube, not to show her cards. But like it actually is showing her cards, because it's basically saying that she is expendable to Min. Like Min doesn't want her to be HOH because she's not aligned with her, and she doesn't like what she's going to do. So yes, it doesn't mean that you're targeting her, but it also means that you don't trust her and you're not aligned with her. So it showed quite a bit more, but I kind of see where Min was trying to go with this. But I think she should have been a little more strategic and maybe got out other people other than Angie, because Angie's not the only person that is going to be trying to get you out of the game. So next out was Rianne, of course. Then Angie. So Angie was out 5th, and she was definitely pissed that Min was putting these balls in her tube. Min was next. And she's pissed too, because like this was like, I don't know if it was a good strategy on Jamar, because Jamar he put like the ball to seal Min's fate in her tube. And it's like, I know that they're trying not to show that they're working together. I get that. But like, he really just should have maybe aimed for somebody else. Like, she's definitely not coming for you. And it just, I don't think it was a good idea. So yeah, Jamar puts his, seals the fate of Min. And then next out is John Luke. So for whatever reason, Sheldon really wants to win. Now, in my opinion, I felt that Sheldon was in the best situation in the house. He made it through the previous week where potentially Chris wanted to backdoor him, so he kind of smoothed that over. He's great with everybody else in the house. And it's kind of like right now is the time for him to sit back and coast and let everybody else kind of fight against each other. Like, you don't want to surface as a really well-liked, really good competitor right away, because all eyes are on you from the beginning. And so the fact that he wants to win, I think it shows a little bit of weakness in his game strategy, because why would you want to win right now? If you have such good control of the house, like, you're just going to have to piss people off and make people dislike you. So I don't think it was a good strategy. But next out is Hira. Then there's Suzanne. Then Jamar is out 11th. And maybe someone wants to come in and play. I don't know. He's messaging me. And then we have Brooke that came out 12th. And we have the new head of household is Mr. Sheldon. So he wanted to win, and he got it. I wonder though if if Jamar had put his ball into, say, Sheldon's, if maybe then he wouldn't have won, if Jamar would have won instead, or I don't know, if he maybe played his balls correctly, if he could have got out Brooke or Sheldon before himself, maybe Jamar would have had a head of household win. So Sheldon is the top dog of the week. And poor Maddie, they show her crying because she just feels so targeted, and like, I feel that she's probably never really been on the bottom in her life. Like, she's beautiful, she's kind, she's a teacher, so she's always like interacting with people and parents and whatnot. And so the fact that people don't seem to want to be in the house and play with her, like, probably is the first time she's really ever experienced that. And so I can feel for her, because if that's something that you've never really experienced, that it would probably really, really hurt. So I would have cried too. So Sheldon's strategy here is that he wants to take out an easy target. If you're going to take out an easy target, why bother winning? You should just let somebody else win and take out a bigger target that you won't be able to do. But it's his head of household. JL is smart, and he has decided that he wants to start making new connections with people in the house. So he's kind of going off, he's talking with the boys, talking with other girls, and he's not just solely focusing on Maddie and Rianne. So I think that's really good for them to mix and mingle, because they know that they are on the outs. They know that they need to start getting some connections with other people if they want to have a chance of staying, instead of being picked off one by one by one. So Min, feisty little Min, decides to call Angie over to clear the air. And they didn't show it on the show, all of it, but it was so sassy. And I think the line that Min was saying, she's like, it was a beat. I took a beat. It was a beat. I was like, oh, she's so rude. But it was funny. I like her. And so Angie was feeling, though, that the damage was done by the fact that she was targeting her. Just kind of makes her a glowing target as to oh, why is someone coming after me? It's kind of like when you put someone up on the block, it makes them easy to put up on the block again, because they've already kind of popped that cherry, And so the fact that Angie is calling, and or that Min is calling Angie out, Angie felt was kind of going to hurt her game to a certain extent, because you know, now she's like this like flashy little target. So I can understand that, but you know, it's also still a game, and Angie does not like Min anyways. So like, she should be able to just get the fact that Min was going to like doesn't like her, and she doesn't like Min. Like, move on. But Min did call this little thing just to clear the air, just to be like, I'm not targeting you. Like, that she doesn't really feel like she's worth it to target. Like, she just didn't want to show her colors to anybody else in the house, so she didn't care about her. Ugh, awkward. So I called it. I think I might have said this last week, but Brooke has a little crusheroo on Mr. Sheldon, and I think that'd be a very, very cute little couple. We know that Big Brother Canada loves their showmances, and this is probably one that they wouldn't expect, so they're probably just like salivating over the fact that like an unlikely duo has emerged. And so she loves that she can 100% be herself with Sheldon, but she doesn't want to be that person. She doesn't want to be in a showman. She doesn't want to be just like solo, like only into this guy and like have this guy be the one that like dictates her game. Like, she wants to have her own agency in her game, but she does really like him, and you can really see that she kind of just has little like hearts fluttering up from her eyes whenever she talks to him. So she was telling this to Suzanne, who was kind of into it. She was vibing with the vibe of the BS alliance. Just kidding. BS showmance. So Sheldon gets a letter, and from his brother, who he says is his best friend, and he's crying. Everybody else in the house is crying, and it was pretty sweet to see that, you know, how when people get so much support from their family and like they're moved and effective. Sheldon tends to be quite stoic. He doesn't really show that much emotion, and so the fact that he loves his brother so much, and that he you know is moved to a certain extent, and he's able to move everybody in the room. Like, it was a touching moment. I liked it. But then you see Kyle right after this, like crying over the fact that he didn't get to see his wife and children. Like, I guess he really wanted to win the head of household. Everybody wants to win the head of household so they can see their family. Like, it's been 3 weeks probably. Like, I know that having children, I mean, I don't have any children, so I don't know what that actually feels like to be leaving them and to be missing them. Like, I don't know what that feels like. But like, I've picked up and moved across the country twice. Like, I don't know, just, you're going to see them soon. It's okay. Anyways, so he was kind of just commiserating, and Hira was chatting with him and kind of supporting with him, comforting him. They hugged. It was a nice moment in the end, but I guess I just don't really like Kyle that much, that I just didn't really care for it. Sorry. So the KVBS, so if you want to be reminded, that alliance is Kyle, Vanessa, Brooke, and Sheldon. They have a meeting, they have a group hug, and they kind of are deciding who's going to stay on top of who. So they know that they have to stay on top of Carol because they want to make sure that they have Carol still in their pocket. And Brooke she kind of lets it out that she hasn't been managing Sue correctly, that Sue, you know, she is a really great ally, but she's kind of like not been reassuring and kind of reminding him like of the group or of the connection that they have, and like, you know, whatever alliance that they, or the, you know, the whatever lines they have between the two of them, like, she hasn't been reinforcing that. So she's telling them that, like, okay, I still need to work on Sue. Sheldon points out for the first time that he's really scared of Rianne and Maddie. And okay, yes, I'd be scared of Rianne and Maddie and JL. Sure, there's a strong threesome can be very, very powerful in the game, but they are already known to be on the outs. A powerful trio is only really good if nobody knows that they're working together. And so other than that, like, it makes 3 easy targets in my head. But they also say that JL is, what's his name? Sheldon would say that JL, though, he feels like he can bring him in, that JL, out of the 3 of them, is going to be the one that they think that they can work with the easiest. And obviously, they're just going to say Min as well because Min's a wild card. So Min, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to realize that, yes, she's polarizing, but she could be using this to her advantage. Like when she doesn't realize when her points aren't landing. She thinks saying it over and over and over again is going to make people change their mind and see things differently. Like she needs to learn how to pivot and adapt to the game plan and the strategy of the other person. If the other person is saying, no, I don't want to go for Kyle, maybe there's a reason they don't want to go for Kyle. Don't keep on pushing to go for Kyle, because if they're working together, they're going to want to get you out. I feel like it doesn't even faze her, because if she feels that that's the right decision, everybody should just understand this, and just hammering it home, eventually they're going to get it. No, they have a game going. They're not going to just switch it up because you gave them a good scenario that's better for you. Anyways, my little rant. Rianne is getting a little bit of comfort from Jamar, and it was nice to see Jamar kind of, as the nice guy, as a comforter. Like, when he was coming into the house, I kind of thought of him as like, I wasn't feeling him. Obviously, you could tell none of us picked him for our draft, but like he's really grown on me up until that point. Giving comfort to people, showing that he's actually has some strategic chops. And poor Rianne is just like, everybody's avoiding her and nobody's talking to her. Like even Sue was sitting down on the couch with Jamar, and then Rianne came over and Sue was like, she's just like gone. And like, I mean, I would hate to feel like a leper. Like, just, yeah, not good. Sheldon talks to JL, and JL says he's looking for a ride or die, and he wants to work with Sheldon. This is a good thing to do, JL. Appeal to the guys, appeal to the head of household, make a freaking deal. People are not making enough deals here. Like, say yes, say you'll do anything, ask them what they want, give it to them, say you're going to give it to them. Like, I don't know, do something. And so I'm happy that JL is like being like, yeah, I want to ride die. Yeah, I want to work with Sheldon. Kind of, they both reiterate that Min causes drama. So, good JL, like deflecting from the eliminators, getting a new target maybe out there. And so it was really good though that they talked before the head of household, because you saw them having this conversation and they solidified this little thing, but like just like an understanding that like maybe they could be working together before he won power. So it was really good that JL took that approach, especially since now Sheldon is head of household. Yeah, sorry, it was like a little flashback. So Jamar tries to get in with Brooke and Sheldon, hopefully getting to Brooke, talking to him about maybe Kyle being the target, hoping that she will go back to Sheldon and be like, hey, like, this is a good idea. But Jamar just has no idea that the KVBS alliance exists, and so it's just falling on deaf ears. And him, like Min, are not seeing that, yes, there's big targets out there. Yes, there's Kyle. Yes, there's Chris. But big targets, the new game strategy is to keep the meat shields around. Like, that's just where the game has evolved to right now. And it's like, I think Rachel Riley probably started it with like getting out the floaters, like people that are just going to coast to the end. I don't know, floaters, coasters, they're two different things, but I don't know which one is which. So I'm going to consider floaters are people that don't make any waves in the game and get to the end and sitting in final two. So they can also be considered a go, whatever. People are wanting to get rid of these floaters now because they're taking up valuable seats in the final two. And so keeping meat shields around, so somebody that is, would go out before you, is a flashier way to play the game now. And so the fact that Jamar is not even realizing this, kind of like Min, that Kyle is not the way to appeal to Jamar. Jamar he wants to hide. He wants to not be noticed. He wants to fade away. And I mean, he could have done that by not winning household, but he is in that position, and I wish that Jamar could realize that, like, trying to sell him on the Kyle game ain't working. So try something new. So Brooke sees some activity going on in the Expedia room. So like all like the different boards, I guess it's like arrival boards and departure boards kind of were flipping and changing. And another kind of room opens up, and it's like kind of like beachy. It has like sand on the floor, and Carol starts searching around to see if there's like a secret veto or whatnot. And I find it interesting that this hasn't come into play yet. I guess I haven't gotten there yet, but I want to know what's going on in the Expedia room. Like, how long is it going to be like the end of the game before we find out what is going on with the Expedia room? Who knows? Then they show us, I don't know if I'm just a weirdo or if I like underdogs or what, but they show the romance between Min and Jamar, or Beef Mance. But when they kissed, I totally screamed my face off. Like I was like, ah! It was just like, it was a lot. It was intense. It was a good kiss. It was like I was like my mom, like a mom watching her two little kids like have a little smoocheroo. But I think that they're cute. I was happy that they had each other in the house, and like, you know, they had this little thing going on to keep each other occupied, because it seems like they both get pretty bored pretty easily. We see Rianne talk to Sheldon, and Sheldon doesn't even want to talk any game with the evictors, but she does say to her that she's considering them as to being people that are going to be nominated. Rianne was kind of irritated because it seemed as though it was just going to be her and Maddie that was going to be considered, and that JL wasn't even up on the table. And so Rianne, though, took it really well. And I think that that's the way to appeal to Sheldon for sure, is that you just had to be kind of easygoing, because he doesn't seem to respond well to emotions and stuff like that. Like he likes things level-headed. He likes people to be agreeable. He likes people to be like tame, chill. So it was a good way for her to respond to this, just not blowing up and acting all crazy. So oh my God, this is so long ago. Oh yeah, so no, just kidding. So Sheldon brings Maddie up to Wendy's, and I feel like it's kind of like leading, I don't know, was it the calf to slaughter or the cow to slaughter? You know, like he just like takes her up for like its last supper, you know, like some delicious food. She's been on slop for 2 weeks, which also really sucks. And so he gets a random person is the one that gives him his food, and he gets a letter though from this random person. And this letter, so Sheldon's getting like a lot of reinforcements from family, which is, well, not a lot, but like he got, you know, his head of household from his brother, and now with his Wendy's thing, instead of having it be a previous house guest, it's his mom, and his mom is this beautiful woman, and it was a video message, and it was she was saying obviously nice things about her son and how she's really proud of him and this and that, and like Maddie's crying that everyone's against her, and she just doesn't understand though why she's being targeted, because she doesn't think she's smart and that she's physical. That was in a separate scene. It was like right after each other. So we see Sheldon telling Min that he's just so cold to Min. Like, he just tells it like it is. He's like, you're an easy target for everybody because nobody's going to fight to save you, basically. Like, can you be a little bit kinder when you say that? Like, please? Like, man, oh man, oh man. So Maddie, JL, Rianne, and Min are the short list for Sheldon's head of household, or his nominations anyways. And he feels like it's an opportunity to show that he doesn't, like, show his cards. He's able to just go after, you know, these people that were against the house. They voted against her, and Min is obviously, she's just on the outs just by being her. So he knows that it's not going to maybe affect his game, any combination of those people that go up. Nobody's going to be mad. So what do you think of these nominations? They end up being Rianne and Maddie. Now, I do think it was a weak move on the part of Mr. Sheldon. I get why he did it. Again, don't think that he should have won head of household, but he did. I mean, I guess he couldn't really do anything else, but I wish that he made a different decision. So now we're on to Wednesday. Yay! And so Wednesday, this episode, Sheldon decides that it's Rianne that needs to go. He feels that she is a lot better socially than Maddie is, that she really is able to kind of, she's level-headed, as I've said, and so she's able to still really maneuver in with people and like make connections and make strong ties with people. So he's like, she's got to go, because if she used all the power and the social capital that she has, she would probably be a really, really strong player. But I just don't think she's playing that hard. Like, I don't know if she's that savvy of a player, but maybe if her back's up against the wall multiple times, she's going to learn the social capital that she has. So we'll see if she develops into this player that Sheldon thinks she maybe or is. But as of right now, I do not see Rianne being that big of a threat. Jamar is pissed, though, because obviously he wanted to go for Kyle, even though it's not in the best interest for Sheldon. Like, get it, please. Jamar does think that Kyle is coming after him. And this is something that Jamar should have recognized, that if his number one, being Sheldon, isn't going to go after Kyle, who Jamar feels is coming after him, doesn't that say that maybe Sheldon has a better connection with Kyle, or that he doesn't care for his alliance with you? At least not as much as Kyle, because why wouldn't he want to protect your number one? If my number one was in danger, I would help get that number one out of the game, because it would be beneficial for me to get rid of him. So I should have been like big alarm bells to Jamar that like maybe Sheldon just ain't that into you, but he didn't seem to see that. So yeah, Sheldon is not loyal to Jamar. He is more loyal to KBBS, and Jamar just can't see it. Sheldon's great at telling everybody what they want to hear, except for Jamar. But he's going around telling Maddie, like, whatever, you're great, blah, blah, it's just because you're in this alliance. Like, just telling people what they want to hear, that like it's not about them, like he loves them as a person, like it's just game, it's not personal, etc., etc. So Rianne wants to talk to Brooke to see if Brooke can influence Sheldon, and no, it's not going to happen, because Brooke also is terrified. I think Brooke is more terrified of Rianne than Sheldon is of Rianne, and I think because as strong as I think Brooke could be, I think that Rianne has the likability factor that Brooke doesn't really have. Like, I think I would like Brooke in the house, but I can see how she doesn't get along with everybody that well. She's not as likable, as lovable, as I want to be your best friend as Rianne. Like, Rianne has a very infectious kind of vibe, and people like hanging out with her, and she's funny, and she's beautiful, and she's easy to get along with, and she's on the block, and she's not making any waves. She's not making people feel directly uncomfortable. And she seems like she could probably be like super competitive. So I think that Brooke is a little bit jealous of that and intimidated of that by Rianne. Also, they didn't show it on the episode, but on the feeds, there was a couple times where Sheldon was talking about how beautiful that he thought Rianne was. I can't remember specifically if Brooke was in the room, or if someone told her or not, but Sheldon's her man, and if her man is talking about another girl, that girl's got to go, because like no one's getting in the way with my man, or whatever that line is. And so, yeah, so that could also be another reason why she might not be that into Brienne, just because her man Sheldon finds her to be a little bit of a hottie. So this episode shows that Vanessa's really close with Min, talking about each other being their number ones, and, you know, Min seeming to be quite open with Vanessa and like strategizing and telling her all of her plans, etc. Yeah, and so Rianne's still, though, kind of reeling, though, over the fact that she's nominated. She's kind of pissed with Maddie and Angie, like she's talking to Maddie and Angie about how she's pissed about JL, and how JL is just like, he's getting away scot-free, and he doesn't have to like worry about like, you know, going up on the block. Like, he's not even being considered as a replacement nominee. It's going to be Min. And she's just kind of frustrated, and she's kind of explaining that to Maddie and Angie. But smart thing, Miss Maddie, you are my girl, okay? I am all in on you, Aquarius. Like, you need to save my team, because you are it. So you had the thing to say, and it was the right thing to say, was that can't turn on JL. They have to stay together. And this is true. Like, regardless of, like, they make it seem as though they're not working together. And if JL is kind of branching outward, it's great. Have him branch outward. Have him make new connections. But you guys still have to be loyal to each other. You cannot turn on each other, because that's what they want you guys to be fractured, and then they have more targets to go after. You need to be a solid form, and then eventually you'll become powerful again. But you got to stick together and protect each other. You got to support each other. So I'm happy that Maddie recognizes this. Good girl. They picked players for the veto competition. So they did something different this time around. It's going to be a paired veto competition. Again, the head of household isn't playing. I'm not sure if I like this twist, but whatever. So the head of household is not playing this time around. First pick is Maddie. She chooses JL. Rianne, she chooses Hira. And then who's next? Oh yeah, there's just those two. And then 3 other players were chosen at random. So it was Brooke, Min, and Chris. And so Brooke chose Sue, Min Lee chose Vanessa, her number 1, and Chris chose Kyle. And Carol is the host. So there was this sort of discussion between KVBS about throwing the veto, and it's like, oh, maybe you should throw it, this or that. It seemed as though it took place after the veto pick. I don't know if in the timeline, if that's when it happened. But if it was, they were just having like a group discussion on whether or not she wants to throw it, and that maybe then, you know, whatever. There's a discussion for them to throw it. Vanessa and Min started talking about stuff, and Vanessa tells Min after, okay, I remember, this is so long ago. I'm sorry, guys. So Vanessa, after she's been kind of asked to throw this competition, goes down and tells Min that Brooke told her to throw it. Now, Brooke didn't specifically tell her to throw it, but she decides to pin it on Brooke, which was like a weird kind of choice. Like, if you're gonna tell her, why don't you be honest with what you're telling her? But whatever, her game's her game. So Min right away tells Hira and Carol, and then Min tells Kyle and Carol. So Min tells Kyle this, and Kyle's in KVBS, like, and Min doesn't like Kyle, so I don't even know why Min would bring that up in front of her. Like, I know she doesn't really have anything to lose that much, because she doesn't really have that many allies, and so getting people talking and discussing about these things, like, could be good for her, but, like, not against your number 1 target, because, like, people can use some of this information on you. So anyways, I'm not sure what her thought process was for telling Kyle, or if she's just like so frustrated that she needed to tell everybody. I'm not sure where her thought process was there, but she did. And Vanessa is pretty much done to KVBS. So it's just going to be K/BS. And so Sheldon grabs Vanessa to talk, and in that conversation, Vanessa's like, I feel grilled. And she's like feeling that she's being attacked, and like, you know, I know it's like if you're having a group of people that you're talking to and you're the one that's the number one focus, like you could feel attacked and feel grilled, but I didn't feel like they were actually attacking her. They were asking her questions about why she went and told Min these things, and she did tell them these things. And I just found it annoying that she just automatically flipped it and turned it back to be like, I feel attacked, I feel grilled, whatever. And then a flip of the switch, Vanessa, in the end of it, calls Min to be the most evil person. And I'm like, isn't Min your number one? You did go down and tell Min these things. Like, what's your game, girl? I'm just confused by what her game is. Now, it's the veto competition. It's BBCAN High or prom or the Big Brother Spring Fling. And what they have to do is they have to transfer, was it really 50 balls? It's a lot. Transfer 50 balls from the punch bowl over to another tube or whatever. And they had like, so they were obviously light balls, and they had like a wind tunnel kind of blowing up. And so they put the ball in the wind tunnel, and they had to put their mouth on, if they want, on either side of the ball. And they had to transfer the ball without using their hands over to the other receiving vessel and get it in. And so the first one I wrote down 50, so it must have been 50. It seems like a lot. And first one to 50 is going to be the new head of household, or the new veto winner. And so out of the duo, whoever is nominated, I guess, would be the one that takes the prize. So Chris and Kyle, like, I couldn't even watch this. It made me really uncomfortable just seeing people with their mouths like wide open, like it was just really awkward. But Chris and Kyle were the most awkward out of everybody. And it got me really uncomfortable. They eventually realized that they were not going to win, so they decided to just eat. Kyle's a have-not, and so they were able to like eat, I think, cookies in the corner. So they didn't bother trying after a while. First up in the lead was Min and Vanessa. So it really looked like Min was going to win this one, which would have been really interesting. Sheldon does want them to throw it. Yeah, Kyle said to eat cookies. And so it became a really close match between Min and Vanessa, Hira and Rianne, and Maddie and JL. Like, eventually people got the technique. It's like one person puts it on their mouth and the other person puts it on their cheek or somewhere on their face, and just like run like back and forth. And so they all kind of figured out a strategy that worked better, and they were all neck and neck for quite a while. And then Vanessa decides to support her alliance and starts sucking. She starts to throw it. We didn't see any confessionals of Min noticing whether or not she was throwing it, but Vanessa, all of a sudden, like, she drops the ball and like she's awkwardly picking things up, and she just became a lot less good. And eventually it leads to Maddie and JL pulling through with the W. So I was really happy for Maddie because, like, she was feeling on the outs. It wasn't seeming that she was going to be the target that week, but it doesn't feel good to be on the block. So it's always really nice to be able to pull yourself off because they won. She is on the block, so she gets to take advantage of the veto. So she has won, and she's pretty happy about it. She's kind of feeling herself by saying, like, that in the diary room, that she told Sheldon at the beginning of the week that she was going to win the veto, and so he needs to start thinking about a replacement nominee now. And you know what? I like that. She decided to put what she wanted into reality. Her thoughts became things, and, she was able to manifest that outcome for herself. So I am happy that she was able to make that her outcome. So Brooke is still scared of Rianne, and she suggests to Sue that maybe it's time for Rianne to go. Jealous girl, I think. I really do. But Sheldon thinks that Min is the most combustible person in the house, which is true. And Min is not doing anything to stop people having this perception of her. Like, because Vanessa's kind of saying things and then Min's retelling it to people and then Vanessa's denying it. It looks like Min is making all these things up because they haven't realized that Vanessa is actually equally as volatile and is blaming all of her messiness on Min. So it sucks to be Min, but she needs to just start being more straightforward, more clean, more quiet. Like, I mean, I know it's not part of her personality, but if she wants to play the game and she wants to stay in the game, she needs to change up her strategy a little bit and realize where she stands in the game and change that narrative. But she doesn't seem to want to. And Sheldon tells Jamar that Min's a replacement, and he's kind of like, I'm sorry, I know it's your girl. And that should have been another thing that Jamar was like, red flag. Like, he wouldn't put up Kyle, and now he's putting up your other close ally. Like, he does not have your best interest at heart, hands down. Like, maybe he's not going to put you up next, but he's not out to protect your game. He's not your number one ally. He's not there for you. Hopefully he was able to get that memo, but I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like people are reading the signs here very clearly. Min and Jamar have like a nice little meeting together, and she's like, who's your favorite person in the house? And obviously it's going to be her. She is the most interesting. If I was Jamar, I think I'd be the most interested in talking, hanging out with her. She's funny, she's beautiful, she's kind of weird, you know, they have a little weird relationship. I like it. And so obviously it's going to be her. I liked hearing this though. Rianne and Maddie were also having a little conversation, and I can't remember where they were. Anyways, they're just talking about how they see right through Sheldon's game and they're just kissing his butt because he's a household. So thank goodness, because it seems as though people are just like, I mean, I guess because there was a quit, you didn't really end up seeing where those numbers fell. And then now the evictors are the number one, enemy, the number one target. And so we can't really see people playing the game because there's such direct and clear targets. And so, yes, it would look like everybody's kissing their butt, but I'm happy that they're at least recognizing that they're just doing it as for game purposes. Like, I'm happy. Play that game. So Min tells Sheldon, Min talks to Sheldon, and Sheldon tells her that she is going to be the replacement nominee. And she actually, she showed a little bit of emotion here. She started to cry a little bit, and, she tells him that putting her up is not smart. And I guess she doesn't even realize to appeal to Sheldon is not saying that he's stupid. Like, nobody wants to hear them be like, okay, I'm stupid, you're going home. Like, I don't know, like, I'm going to be here longer than you. Like, so if that's stupid, then whoop-de-doo. Like, I guess she doesn't know how to use the knowledge that she has and the game strategy that she has to appeal to the people in power. She's not appealing to them. She's making them feel like crap. And Sheldon just said, she's like, look, like, I don't think that there's one person in this house that trusts you. Like, if that was said to me, I'd be like, oh my God, I need to build trust with every single person in this house. They need to trust me. If he's telling me that, it's actually would be good, like a good intel as to what I need to do to stay, build trust, not say that you're the target anymore, not that you're going to go and take out big targets. Like, that's not working with these guys. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And that's seemingly what she and Jamar are doing so far in this game. It's like trying to be like, Kyle. It's like, pivot. So obviously Maddie uses the veto on herself. Min goes up on the block. Jamar gives Min a little wink. And Jamar melts. It is a weak move, but it is better for his game right now. And you didn't really propose to him something that was a better move for him right now because you don't know all the facts. So after the episode, actually, no, it was before the episode. I don't even know what the timeline of this anymore. And Jamar was expelled from the house. So I knew what was going on because I watched the feeds, and like, I can't remember when it came up, but it wasn't addressed, or was it addressed? I can't remember the timeline anymore. So it was addressed, I think, maybe on the Wednesday show. I don't know. But there was a house meeting that Min called, and she was calling out Kyle and Vanessa about like the lies that were being told, et cetera, et cetera. And Jamar kind of gets upset, and, you know, kind of people were antagonizing him a little bit. They attacked him a little bit. He said some things that he should not have said. Like, I don't think they showed that part on the show. No. So it must have been all live feed stuff that I'd watched. And he was kicked out for threatening violence, basically. And it was a whirlwind, like, from when the Wednesday night show aired, they turned off the feeds, which was like, what's going on? I was just thinking automatically that Min was going to not be like evicted now because someone else went out that particular week. So that's what I just assumed was going to be happening, like why they shut off the feeds. So then the Thursday night episode comes along, and you see, it was very somber. You see Arissa from her home doing like her intro, and basically she's like, 2 people were removed from the house. So they hadn't, the house, or the audience, the TV show audience hadn't known yet that Jamar was removed unless they read Twitter or watch the live feeds. And she's like, this is not a normal Thursday. And it wasn't. I mean, I know that we are all in doing our social distancing and self-isolation, et cetera, et cetera. So even just with like the beginning of it was her with like a very white room background, and, you know, starting off the show being like 2 people were moved, like right away. He knew something was up. And I felt as though the whole time, because I knew that Jamar had been expelled, and I had heard a rumor that somebody else had been expelled, and I was like, I just felt like the whole show was a Shakespearean tragedy. So I'll just kind of go through the motions as to what the show depicted. So Sheldon was playing the nice guy, as usual, and he was just telling Min, like, we have no allies, like, I don't want to get my hands dirty. And that's kind of his game strategy, is like, make moves and win stuff, but like, don't look like a target. I think you're gonna look like a target anyways, but whatever. Jamar thinks the only person that sees eye to eye with him is Min, and Min is trying to flirt with him, and like, she's feeling kind of down. She's saying that she needs a kiss. And Kyle was even trying to like schmooze with Maddie. Like, I don't know, Kyle's game was pretty, I don't know why he was so well liked, because I felt that he had like a very kind of, his vibe to me was just kind of always like, it would probably be on edge a little bit. Like, I didn't find him funny. I didn't find him attractive. I didn't find him easygoing. So the fact that he was so well liked was very interesting to me, but because he didn't seem like someone that I would be excited to be hanging out with. But I don't know, maybe in person he's different, but he's trying to schmooze over Maddie and saying that, you know, isn't it amazing that Min's going to be leaving? And Maddie's kind of like, well, not really, because like, Min is, like, she didn't say this, but Min is kind of a number for her. Like, she's an outsider, so Min going isn't good for her. It just means that she might be next, or the one after next. So anyways, he's trying to worm his way into Maddie's friendship or trust or what, but it wasn't seeming to be working. You see Jamar talking to the camera, you know, talking about weak moves, and, you know, Min walks in and tells him that, you know, he's going to be next. If Min goes, like, Jamar's going to be next. Jamar's going to be next. And like, this is where like the buildup of like, I don't know, it was like Romeo and Juliet, like these star-crossed lovers. Like, I was just like, you know, she's on the block, and like, I knew at this point that Jamar had been evicted from the house, or expelled from the house, and like, I just like waiting for it to happen. And I was like, oh my goodness. So they call the house guests to the living room, and they tell them about coronavirus. Like, what's happening in this game so far? And it was a really beautiful moment, and you can just see like the housemates receiving these news, and like when Maddie is hearing that like Rome and Iran and China are like, you know, the places that it's like most affected so far, and she's like, oh my god, my parents are supposed to be in Italy at this time. And so she was definitely consoled to the fact that like her parents were fine. They decided not to go on the trip. So she felt better. Like, everybody was reassured that their family, all their loved ones, were better, and they all received letters from their loved ones. So just explain, like, they wanted them to stay in the game. Everybody was fine. All their friends and family were fine. And so it gave them all peace of mind. But it was like it was a really weird moment to see play on TV, because like, they have no idea how actual insane it is outside right now. Like, or not insane, but like the fact that I've been like doing dance classes online, and like having meetups online, and like having I haven't had a glass of wine, but people have been like meeting with friends and having a glass of wine at like 5 online. It's like, it's become a really, really weird world right now. And so just seeing them hear the news and like, but still not even really have any idea the gravity of it is also kind of weird to watch. But it's part of the social experiment, so I love it. Keep it playing, because I'm still gonna watch it. They're the most isolated people yet, so they haven't been exposed. So keep them in the house, please, 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 please. I want to see this season follow through. So back to the game. Ree doesn't feel good with Vanessa or Kyle, and she's telling Sue this. And I mean, I feel like Rianne shouldn't be telling Sue that much, because Sue does have a big mouth. She chats with everybody. She's good with everybody, but she also talks to everybody. So I think she needs to be a little bit close her mouth a little bit more about who she wants to target in this situation. I think she should allow Sue to suggest who she wants to be the target, and then Vanessa say, I agree, and like, I'll follow through with you on that target choice, because I think that Sue is closer to, you know, Chris, to Kyle, to Vanessa. Like, I think that she has a better connection with them. And so I don't know if it was a good idea for her to say that, but I mean, I see everything from the outside, so I obviously have a better idea of what's going on in the house, and she has no idea of how connected Sue actually is. So I get it, but I really wish that she could just close her mouth a little bit more. So Sue and Chris are talking, and this was a nice moment, even though Chris still does these eye things that are just so intense. So they can tell Chris can tell 100% when Kyle is lying. And I really wish that we could see more of that, because like, this whole brain specialist thing, NLP trainer, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I know NLP, so like, I understand how to shift the mind and hypnosis and stuff like that. So I understand what he may be doing, but the fact that he called himself a brain specialist, it's like he needed to give himself a title so he can have like a little caption on the bottom instead of just saying like life coach. And so I do want to see more of Chris sussing out the lies. Like, I would love to have a segment of Chris being like, oh, she's lying here, or she's not lying here, or like, I would actually really, really like that to be a segment. So if any Big Brother producers, editors hear this, please put in a segment of Chris like deducing truth from lie. That'd be amazing. Chris does tell Sue though that she is 100% his number one in the game. Which I don't think is true, but I mean, I think Chris is, I think, convincing enough to Sue that he's not going after her. So whether that's 100% true or not, I think that it was enough for Sue to hear, that at least to give them sort of a good bond to a certain extent. Then we hear Carol tells an offside joke about, it was a racially sensitive joke, or I don't think it was a joke because it wasn't funny really at all, just kind of saying that where she's from, like, cops would be all over someone like Jamar. And we'll be discussing this with the boys tomorrow a little bit more, but it's just not really a good thing to say, especially with, with race. One issue with it is that you can't change your skin color, and so saying that just for him being who he is, he's going to be targeted by the police is just, it's just not funny. It's not funny at all. And so anyways, Jamar took it kind of with stride, and then we see kind of Angie asking Jamar a little bit later if it offended her, if he offended him, if he told Carol how he felt, and he just didn't want to really bring it up anymore. He just wanted to kind of let things go. He felt that he had a better relationship with Carol before, but they don't really talk now. So he just wanted to kind of let it go. But Angie was like, well, she shouldn't really say stuff like that. And like, if it's bothering you, you should say something to her. Cut to, we see Carol making an apology. Well, a sort of apology to Jamar, being like, oh, I'm sorry if what I said offended you. Not being sorry for what she said. Whatever. But one thing that you guys didn't see was that Miss Min decided to stir the pot because she heard that conversation, and she goes over to Carol and tells Carol that Angie was saying that Carol was racist, and that, she was offended by the comment that she made. So that was actually in turn why Carol ended up going to apologize to Jamar. But Min was kind of like, oh, I don't think what you said was racist at all. Like Angie like felt so, but like, I don't think that you said anything wrong, kind of thing. And so that's kind of, I think, why Carol went with the attitude of like, oh, I'm sorry if you were offended by what I said. Because I think Min made it seem as though it wasn't that bad and that they were just being sensitive. It's a sensitive topic. And if someone's offended by it, they are allowed to be offended by it. That you don't get to decide how somebody of color gets to take your sense of humor if you're deciding to use their race as a way to be hilarious. So anyways, I was irritated by that comment, and I would have been offended by that comment. So I'm happy that at least the discussion came out. This is a social experiment. We're putting people from different walks of life together in a house, and we're learning and growing about them. So seeing that this is now become a topic that people can discuss as to why and why not it's a problem is, I think, a really great thing. And so I thought it was handled decently well. I felt that I wish that Carol had a better understanding as to why it might have been offensive, but at least it was still, nothing had blown up. Like, it was still, everybody was pleasant still. And so, yeah, this is definitely where I could just see like the buildup of like kind of like the angst and like the tension was kind of, it was happening, especially because I knew how it was going to end, So Sheldon wants to work with Maddie and Rianne, and I think that's obviously what you have to do if you're going to get out. If you're keeping your two people you put on the block in, you're going to have to say, like, I'm working with you guys, because they're obviously going to be pissed that you put them in danger, even if they don't go home. Like, you didn't care about them enough to stay. So the fact that he's bringing in Rianne and Maddie just to get them aligned, like, that's, I think, is a really good thing. So Rianne specifically, though, asks if Brooke and him, Sheldon, were aligned. And they said, no, we're only to each other, like, not to anybody else. So it's good that they lied, but they are aligned with pretty much everybody else in the house, which is, will be interesting. Like, if one of them were to win the HOH, like, how would they be targeting people if they're not aligned with anybody? Min confronts Vanessa. And Vanessa was being really, really, really condescending when Min was saying, like, you told me about 5-person alliance, or there's a bunch of lies that Vanessa's been telling Min. And Vanessa was just like so rude and condescending towards someone who Min thinks she's her number one. Like, regardless of whether you're working with other people, you would think that you'd want that person to still be on your side. So I don't know. I don't understand the game that Vanessa's playing at all. So Min calls a house meeting, and this is like the climax of that Shakespearean tragedy. Like, this is the end of Romeo and Juliet right now, just like bubbling up, and it's happening. So Min calls out Vanessa. Vanessa's just like, I was playing the game. And she's like, I played you. And Jamar's like, well, did you play me too? And I could hear like Kyle making like kissing sounds and like just basically saying like, you know, you got played. And, like, it was just, all of it was just pretty icky. Like, if you'd seen it to its entirety, you would understand what I'm saying, where it was just like really, it was just an icky meeting. And how it was being showed on the TV show, how they really built this drama was icky. And so the house meeting is going, and then they didn't even show what happened. Now, from my perspective, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen on TV. Basically, I'll put a link to a clip of it if I can find one. Jamar says, oh, what's the use of all those big muscles for you to get popped? And Kyle's like, oh, you could be expelled for saying something like that. You can get expelled for threatening like that. He's like, I didn't threaten you. And he's like, all the time, like, they put people making gunshot noises, like, and they put sound effects with him. Like, Big Brother does that all the time. And they didn't show any of that. They just cut to Arissa saying, again, 2 people have been expelled. They said that there were things that were shown or not shown on the feeds and not shown, and that happened off camera, that nobody has seen, that led them to also to expel Kyle. So Kyle and Jamar were both expelled from the Big Brother house. Arissa also announced that this week is going to be a reset, and this was all because there was problematic behavior from both Kyle and Jamar after reviewing the tapes. Arissa says that Sheldon will be able to play head of household, and I don't know. I was really sad actually in that moment, because like you see Min like crying on the couch and people were comforting her. Like I'm kind of crying right now, but like I even cried in that moment because I just like, they didn't really even show what happened, and I didn't feel like either of them deserved to be expelled. And like I know that winning the game meant a lot to both of them, and winning the money meant a lot for both of them. And so the fact that it was just kind of ripped away and we didn't even really get to see what happened, I didn't really like that. And, you know, and it hurt probably Min a lot. Like, she was probably happy that she was staying, but she felt for sure that because she held that house meeting and they escalated, that it was her fault that he was going to be evicted. So I was sad. I'm sad now. I didn't like the way that happened. So we kind of get to the end of the episode, and Angie and all the house guests are kind of hugging, and she leads them into a prayer talking about moving forward. We also hear on the speakers Erin Brock, the executive producer, I believe she is, kind of saying like, this is a gift, this is an opportunity, like, you know, treat it as such, be kind to each other, like, play this game. People like would love to have the opportunity that you guys have. It's a gift. Like, remember that. Don't squander this gift. And so it was was just such a bizarre episode. Like it felt as weird as all of us living in this coronavirus world right now. Like it was just a really weird episode. So after the prayer, cut to the next head of household competition, and basically they're all hanging from a bar in a sleeping bag, kind of on an incline, and so Chris wants to be the comp beast again, and win. Sheldon still has 3 targets of his in the house, so those are kind of who he has his eyes on, because Min was allowed to stay. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And it's a whole reset week. And so first off, Carol. Second off, Angie. Third off, Brooke. Fourth off is Rianne. And Min says she's a cat with 9 lives. So that's where they cut the episode. We don't know who won the head of household, and we will know very soon. So I will talk to you guys shortly. I know this was a hell of a long recap, but I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, subscribe, boom, hit the bell so you can hear every time that we have a new video going up. And you can follow us on Instagram at Realness with 3 S's. You can find me at ShanFranFran or at Star Talent Coaching. Otherwise, we will see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.